and it's all about Spotlight today. It's all about, well, the kind of 40 minutes or so that we like to take time out to look at the entertainment industry. And our next guest is a man with many hobbies. Most uniquely, it's his lifelong passion and craft in the world of scary movies and special effects, Robert.
It certainly is. Sugie Reaves joins us. Sugie, it's great to have you on Off Script.
Oh, man, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Okay.
Especially over a weird topic like blood and guts. And
Yeah,
latex.
it's weird for a Thursday. I appreciate that.
You've told us that you've got about 8 jobs. We're going to zoom in on one of your passions. I think one of your hobbies, as Chris mentioned, and special effects. Because you just said there's a little bit of a trick of the trade to special effects. If anyone wants to dabble in that, if anyone wants to get into the industry, we need 2 ingredients, don't we? Latex
and cotton will get you very far. That's
Will
for
they?
sure. Yep, that's
Latex
right.
and cotton, that's not what I thought you were...
Well, you can use ripped up tissue, cotton, but basically the idea is you take liquid latex, you're going to soak the cotton in it, and now you have really messed up cool zombie skin that you can just rub all over your face. I will suggest you put a little Vaseline on your face first, or you're going to have an amazing wax job on everything.
You must have been a pretty good proponent of fancy dress back in the day.
Are you kidding me? I live for this. Like, I'm bummed out that it's not bigger here. I actually host an annual Halloween costume contest because I just got to do it the right way. You know, and I have so much fun with it. I won 4 in a row while I was here. And then I decided I'm going to run one. I want everyone to get freaky. I want everyone to get creative. I want it messy. Give us a huge cleaning bill. You'll probably win.
What was your best personal creation? What's the costume that you're most proud of?
Oh, that's really hard to say because some were like I was doing it mostly for fun and it was cool and I was doing it with my friends and I ended up winning something. At the Dubai Comic-Con, the Middle East Film and Comic-Con, I think 3 years ago, I came second at the international level as Mr. Freeze, the Batman villain. I had this big, giant robotic suit. I even had a microphone hidden inside the helmet, so I had a special voice, and my gun actually shot ice at people.
So are you making these?
Whoa. We have to stop at the gun shooting ice at people.
Oh,
sorry to interrupt you,
shards
Chris.
of
I
ice
need to ask about that.
If you're going to walk the walk, you got to spray the spray.
How many injuries were there, just out of interest?
Just myself, to be honest with you. I didn't insulate the gun in all the proper places.
You actually built all of this from scratch?
Sadly, over about 6 weeks, and not bringing a woman home to my apartment, yes.
That is a man. I tell you what, Chris McCarty has been patiently constructing Old Trafford out of Lego pieces.
Yes, I have.
Over the last couple of weeks. You've just taken the cake there, though.
No, you can have
Sugie.
the Legos. I don't do the Legos.
Yeah.
You don't do Legos, but what you do build is Mr. Freeze outfits with guns that shoot ice.
What does your apartment look like? Describe it to us. Paint a little picture for us.
And I usually have to brief people before they walk in. I'm like, listen to me now. You're going to see some mannequins. Some of them are naked. Some of them are wearing some really strange things you have to let me explain. Because I got monsters that are halfway
How many
being
people
built.
have run out of your apartment screaming, Sugie?
And is your landlord aware of what you're housing?
Absolutely not.
I was going to say,
No.
Shug.
Well, the problem is transporting the stuff to my car when I'm walking with, a dead body or, a giant mutant or, Jason Voorhees, sleeping bag covered in blood.
Have you ever been stopped and questioned?
The only time I got stopped, and it's not what you think, I was going to a Halloween costume contest, and we were both Victorian-era vampires, and I did all the prosthetics on my face. And, of course, you can't be a vampire if you're not soaked absolutely in blood.
No.
So I'm not the pretty, sparkly, glitter vampire. I'm the monster vampire. And we needed a taxi, and we couldn't get one, so we walked down the street, and so we caused a traffic issue. And people got out in the middle of the street and started taking photos of us. At first, I was like, we're about to have some trouble. I'm going to have to fight someone with these fake teeth in, and I can't talk very well. It sounds like Daffy Duck, but I'm gonna have to say something. But, no, it turned out pretty cool. We got some pictures and almost caused a pile-up.
No one sort of grabbed a cross and sort of thrust it in your face?
No, but I have had props that people try to run away with.
Oh.
Then I get really angry, and it's hard to yell at someone through a mask. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You try to be a tough guy, and you just can't do it.
Where did the fascination come from? Because special effects, and there's a lot of people out there, and you're absolutely right. I've got friends that really buy in to
Absolutely.
Halloween. They will go all out.
It's
Expense is not an issue. They want to be the centerpiece of a
No,
party.
I'll spend thousands of dirhams to win 200 dirhams. Trust me.
Where's that passion come from?
So, as a kid, I was a huge fan of comic books, right? Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all that. And they always had great villains. And I was kind of always a fan of the villain, right? Especially the ones that you're like, I kind of agree with them, you know?
Yeah,
and,
misunderstood.
Somewhat. Magneto.
Yeah.
We're treated unfairly. I'm stronger than you. I'll stop you. I'm like, he's kind of right. Anyway, when I was about between 8 and 10 years old, we're at my aunt and uncle's house. And you know how it is when the adults are wanting to hang out and the kids are annoying them? Put a movie on. Yeah. So my aunt asked me if I want to watch Freddy. I said, sure. Who's Freddy? You know, is he like a pet dragon? Like, what is that? Like, is it a kid's show? So I'm a little kid.
Freddy Krueger.
As in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, which may be the grossest one they've ever done. That's my first horror movie experience. And
at the age of 8?
Between 8 and 10. I'd have to go back and do the math. But
big fan of your
never seen a movie like this. Never seen a guy turn into a dream demon and a giant worm and, you know, all this blood and guts.
At 8, I'm not surprised.
And I was locked. Because this guy's like a supervillain. He has superpowers, right? He can come after you in your dreams and use your nightmare against you. And you can't beat him. And then, but see, it didn't scare me. It didn't freak me out. I mean, I was kind of grossed out, but I wasn't scared because my mama told me that movies are fake. We used to watch those old Clash of the Titans movies. You know, there's a phenomenal special effects artist named Ray Harryhausen. We hold him like,
he's like the...
Yes. And he mastered the stop-motion puppets. When Jason and the Argonauts are fighting the skeletons and the skeletons are, you know, walking all twitchy, that's because they were individually posed stop-motion puppets. Tim Burton used this technology in A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And so I knew it was fake. That means someone got paid to rip people's faces off or to make someone's stomach explode or someone got paid for that. Are you kidding me? So I started making masks out of paper mache.
You were a child ahead of your time,
You
Sugie.
certainly were. So listen, stay right there. We've got a lot of questions for you, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have got questions for you as well.
We are in conversation with Sugie Reaves. He is a master of all trades. He is a man who has a passion for special effects, a passion for horror movies, and for art as well. And he's put that to good use with probably the scariest apartment that we are yet to see, but he tells us it's quite a sight when you walk in the front door. Sugie, let's move the conversation on if we can, because we want to get your thoughts on some classic movies and the movies that have left a mark on you. And in the horror genre, although you were telling me earlier that there's a big difference between horror movies and scary movies.
Absolutely. A horror movie, first of all, you know, that's subjective. It's kind of like a comedy. What you laugh at, I might not laugh at. So what could scare you may not scare me. Some people,
are there not various tropes that scare everyone?
There is. You know, if I jumped up and screamed out of nowhere right now, you would be startled.
Yes.
We call that a jump scare. Movies use it all the time because they know it works.
If they have halfway around the Dubai tennis stadium, I think, if you did that.
Well, they're kind of showing their hand because if a movie relies on a lot of jump scares or sudden loud noises, they know it's not that good. So they got to get you somehow. So they use the jump scares. Haunted houses use this a lot. Bang, bang, out of nowhere.
So a movie that uses them is automatically frowned upon by the horror movie community.
Oh, I didn't say that. Understand, we love some horrible movies. You know,
what's the horrible ones that you enjoy?
Evil Dead.
The
Evil Dead series.
A lot of these I will have watched in fast forward, so I'll have no real clue.
So the Evil Dead, you basically had well, Sam Raimi wrote it and directed it, and of course he's actually a really good director now, but this is his college days. So him and a bunch of his friends that like to participate in certain recreational activities decided we can make a movie. And they pretty much threw it together. They almost killed each other making this movie. It's so bad, it is insanely entertaining. Matter of fact, the first Evil Dead was supposed to be a scary movie. It was supposed to be a legit scary movie. And the potheads were laughing so much during it, they couldn't even believe that it, you know, so they did part 2, which is the exact same story, but purposely now a comedy.
Let's flip this on its head then. What about the scary movie, the horror movie, call it what you will, that perhaps has not infiltrated the kind of the realms that the world that I'm operating in.
The mainstream consciousness.
The mainstream consciousness. This is why he gets paid the big bucks. Exactly that.
So you want the deep cuts.
The deep cuts, the ones that anyone listening to this, you've got to watch this. You will most certainly have not seen it, but you've got to find it, you've got to watch it, because it's an absolute classic.
Well, before I recommend any movie, I kind of got to know who the person is, because like some movies are like a thinking movie. There's a movie called Triangle. I had to watch it about 4 or 5 times to even know what was going on. Which it's a film. What you're watching is not what's happening.
Oh my goodness!
And you watch the story from about 3 different angles. And once I was laying in bed and it hit me, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
I've got to watch it again.
I find
is that
James
what was
Bond
happening?
hard to follow, so I'm definitely not trying.
So that one's a little bit different. Then you got a film like High Tension out of France. High Tension is extremely disturbing. I can't even tell you what the opening scene is. Not on the air, anyway.
Okay.
But it's basically you're just biting your nails.
Don't go there,
You're
Sugie.
nervous the entire film. The movie's called High Tension. There's a Spanish horror movie. So you guys have already hyped me up as this horror movie guy, this scary movie
You've
guy.
done your research before coming on.
Yeah,
to it.
You're living up to the billing so far.
Yeah,
There's a French, there's a Spanish movie. This
Yeah.
is all on Wikipedia, and Shuggy's just reading
Yeah, right. Well, there's a Spanish horror movie that I can barely sit through. It's called Martyrs. And again, it's a torture film for 2 hours.
no.
But it's well done for what it is. But it is outrageously difficult to watch, and the reveal at the end of it is jaw-dropping. It's like the credits are rolling and no one's speaking for 5 minutes. And I'll see you on the other side. You're changed after watching that film. It's rough. It's rough.
Okay.
What about an all-time favorite in terms of special effects?
Oh, man. I mean, there's so many because there's some that I've either tried to recreate the special effect myself. I'm a huge fan of the Friday the 13th series. They're not all the best movies, but darn it, I just love them. But probably, I think, the greatest achievement in special effects, 1981, American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
First of all, it's a
Of course.
phenomenal movie.
Iconic
Probably the greatest werewolf movie ever made. But Rick Baker, he's on my Mount Rushmore of greatest special effects artists of all time. He created, without computers, without CGI, without animation, a human turning into a werewolf. To this day, it is completely believable.
I want to talk about how you said you see things and you try to recreate it. So let's say you're watching a certain scene, you see something happening. How do you sort of understand what materials they're using or how you could replicate something like that?
Well, I know the basics, and I actually got a lot of training from a guy. He passed away, but really good friend of mine. His name was Ken Tarallo. He worked in Hollywood for over 30 years, probably 100 films and TV shows, Breaking Bad, Heroes.
Oh, wow.
He did all the special effects in all the Ocean's 11 movies, and the stories are amazing. Which actors are great, which ones are not very nice people. People getting hurt, but he would give me all kinds of cool tips, and he would tell me, oh, here's how we did that, or here's how this is this, and so sometimes I got the basics. I'll watch, I can tell, well, that's latex and corn syrup, or someone has a fishing line and they pulled and that made the thing move, or whatever the case may be, or they filmed that in reverse. The werewolf transformation scene I'm talking about, you can actually watch the guy hair, like fur, grow out of his arm. They filmed it backwards. They had a rubber arm covered in hair, and then they just pulled the hair through the arm and then played it back in reverse to make it look like the hair was coming out of the arm, but the real effect, they pulled it through.
Oh, you're ruining films.
Wow.
You're ruining films for people.
I think it makes
Explain-
it makes it better.
The scene in that movie, I mean, because that transformation scene is a good sort of couple of minutes long.
Yeah.
When his sort of his muzzle or his snout or
face
whatever
is
you want to
stretching and
call it,
everything, right?
when he's turning from a human face to a wolf. How do they do that?
So you got some camera trickery taking place, but you also got some good old-fashioned, we call it practical effects. If you don't use a computer, it's called a practical effect. That means I'm going to make something that can do this thing. So you have a combination of quick edits. If you notice, the camera's cutting lots and lots of times during that scene. And what you have is the actor putting in different prosthetics in his mouth, switching to a rubber head. They made a mold of the actor's face, made either a silicone or a foam latex head, and it's hollow, and inside they have rods and teeth, and someone off camera is pushing this stuff, stretching the latex, stretching the skin to make it look like it's developing a wolf-like face.
Wow.
For people who are out there listening, thinking they want to get involved and they want to start experimenting with special effects, give us a couple household items that might be handy and what they can create, what they can use, let's say, to make fake blood, or what sort of things can you DIY?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do a lot of stuff at home, especially for Halloween or just having fun with your friends. First of all, fake blood is the same exact. First of all, the fake blood you buy in Halloween stores is horrible, horrible stuff. You don't need it. It's expensive. Just Hollywood uses corn syrup and food coloring.
Simple as that.
That's it. You can water down the corn syrup so you can make it runny, but it sticks to you. It won't irritate your skin. You can put it in your mouth. and that's what Hollywood uses is corn syrup.
One or two parents will not be thanking us for that
For all
little
the
advice.
CGI, for all the advancements, and it still uses corn syrup and food coloring.
It's all about money, right? So is it going to be more economical to have 4 or 5 guys on a computer spend 6 weeks animating? Liquid is still the hardest thing to animate, all right? Liquid and hair is very difficult to animate CGI-wise. They could, maybe, especially if I had a scene where this whole area of town was soaked in blood. I obviously can't buy 500 million gallons of blood. That might not be economical, but if I'm going to put battle wounds on you, zero reason for CGI, unless some actors don't want to wear squibs. That's the explosion that makes it look like you got shot.
yeah.
Some actors refuse because you still get a pretty good punch from the stuff. So some actors are like, no, I don't do that. They may animate the gunshot wound or something when it happens and then put makeup on them. Other than that, they're going to put a bag filled with fake blood inside the guy's wardrobe, and there's a little pop. It's called a squib, and they can fire that off whenever they want, and the blood shoots out.
Ruining films since 1990.
You asked the questions, I
I'm
knock them
only
down.
joking, my man.
I know,
Listen,
I know,
Chugs,
I know.
I'm conscious of time here. How do people get in touch with you? Because I've got a funny feeling you're going to have a long line of people outside of A, your apartment just because they want to see it, and
I
maybe
hope
B,
not.
that they want you to make something for upcoming Halloween in October. What's the best place to contact you?
The best place to contact me is either between my Instagram or Facebook. You could just Google Sugie Reaves. A lot's going to come up. I have several different accounts, again, because of my several different jobs. But Sugie Reaves, you can look me up on Instagram at Sugie1978.
Do it. This man is a very talented individual. He knows his horror movies. Bless you, Shugs. Absolute pleasure to have you.
Thanks
down
for
here.
having me. This was a blast.
Cheers,
Let's
Sugie.
do it again soon.